After gaining independence in the 1950s, Ghana and Nigeria, like other West African nations, were navigating their new economic and political realities. The spirit of West African unity was strong, and cross-border migration for work and trade was common, with many Nigerians finding opportunities in Ghana. By 1969, Ghana, led by Prime Minister Dr. Kofi Abrefa-Bija, faced economic challenges, prompting a decision to prioritize Ghanaian employment and industries. This led to a pivotal and controversial decision in West African history. In November 1969, the Ghanaian government enacted the Aliens Compliance Order, mandating the departure of all undocumented foreigners within 2 weeks. The Aliens Compliance Order had a sweeping impact, affecting over 2.5 million West Africans, with over 1 million Nigerians specifically targeted. Many Nigerians, caught without the required documentation for their stay or business, faced forceful eviction, leading to the loss of their homes, businesses, and properties. The expulsion created a significant humanitarian crisis along Ghana's borders as countless individuals and families were displaced. Although Nigeria, under General Yakubu Gowon, did not immediately retaliate, the expulsion left a lasting bitterness, viewed as a betrayal by a neighboring country and straining bilateral relations. Years later, Nigeria experienced its own economic crisis following an oil boom crash. In 1983, under President Shehu Shagari, Nigeria expelled over 2 million West African migrants, predominantly Ghanaians. This mass expulsion gave rise to the iconic phrase, "Ghana must go," a reference to the common checkered bags used by Ghanaians to carry their belongings during their forced departure. These events showed how fragile regional unity could be during tough times. The expulsions led to long-term mistrust between the citizens of both countries. Yet, over time, Nigeria and Ghana repaired their relationship and remain major partners in ECOWAS, Economic Community of West African States. In the 1960s, West Africa was full of movement. Ghana and Nigeria, both newly independent, were filled with hope. Many Nigerians moved to Ghana, chasing trade and farming opportunities. Ghana was a rising star, known for its cocoa, gold, and early independence in 1957. Nigeria, independent in 1960, was larger and more diverse, but both countries shared dreams of growth and unity. As time passed, Ghana faced economic problems. Jobs became scarce, and prices soared. In 1969, Ghana's Prime Minister, Dr. Kofi Abrefa-Bija, decided to act. He issued the Aliens Compliance Order. This law told all non-Ghanaians without proper papers to leave the country within 2 weeks. It was shocking news for millions, especially Nigerians who had lived in Ghana for years. Over 1 million Nigerians were affected. Many were traders, farmers, and artisans. Some had lived in Ghana for decades. Suddenly, they were ordered to leave or face arrest. Families were broken. Shops were closed. People fled in fear. At Ghana's borders, thousands of Nigerians waited with their bags, unsure of what the future held. The expulsion caused chaos. Many Nigerians lost everything: homes, businesses, livestock. The journey back to Nigeria was long and painful. Some had no transport. Others were attacked along the way. In Nigeria, the government led by General Yakubu Gowon chose not to retaliate immediately. Still, Nigerians felt betrayed by their neighbors. The bitterness of 1969 stayed alive in Nigerian hearts. But life moved on. The two countries tried to rebuild relations. Years later, in 1983, Nigeria faced its own crisis. The oil boom had ended. Jobs were gone. Inflation was rising. President Shehu Shagari made a tough decision: expel all undocumented foreigners from Nigeria. This time, it was Ghana's turn to suffer. Over 2 million migrants were expelled, and most of them were Ghanaians. The streets of Lagos, Ibadan, and Port Harcourt filled with Ghanaians carrying their belongings in large, checkered bags. Nigerians called the bags "Ghana must go." The name stuck and is still used today. The 1983 deportation shocked Ghana. Thousands returned to a country already struggling. Families were displaced again. The cycle of migration and rejection repeated. These events, though decades apart, created deep wounds in both nations. Yet, they also taught important lessons about brotherhood and leadership in hard times. Today, Ghana and Nigeria work together in trade, diplomacy, and ECOWAS. They've moved past those dark chapters. But the memory remains. The Ghana must go back is now part of African culture. And both countries know that unity must be protected, because economic hardship should never break the bond between neighbors. Back in 1969, many Ghanaians supported the Aliens Compliance Order. They believed foreigners were taking jobs, land, and trade. The streets were tense. Some citizens cheered as Nigerians packed to leave. Others felt pity. They are just like us, one woman said in Accra. But the government stood firm. Ghana for Ghanaians, they declared. And with that, the order swept thousands away. Nigerians returned home with bitterness and heartbreak. Their lives had been built over years, now destroyed in days. In Onitsha and Lagos, returnees told painful stories. Some had their shops looted, others were forced to leave sick relatives behind. The Nigerian media reported it all, but the government remained calm. They wanted peace, even when their people cried for justice. Despite the wounds, Nigerians didn't close their borders. In the years that followed, Ghanaians still came to Nigeria, looking for work, education, and new hope. Nigeria was now rich with oil money. Lagos buzzed with life. Ghanaians filled roles as teachers, tailors, and traders. It seemed the past had been forgotten, but history, as always, had its way of repeating itself. Then came 1983. Nigeria's oil boom collapsed. Millions lost jobs. The naira weakened. Crime rose. The government, under pressure, sought someone to blame. Foreigners are the cause. Newspapers cried. President Shagari responded with an executive order: all undocumented migrants must leave within 2 weeks. Over 2 million were affected, just like in Ghana, 14 years earlier. For Ghanaians in Nigeria, it was a nightmare. No time to prepare. No time to sell goods or say goodbye. Families scrambled. Children cried. Many walked hundreds of miles to the Benin border. The roads were flooded with people carrying mattresses, pots, and babies. Some died on the way. Others were robbed. The sorrow was now Ghana's to feel. At the Seme border between Nigeria and Benin, thousands of Ghanaians were stranded. Benin refused entry, fearing they'd be stuck with the burden. For days, people slept on the roadside. Pregnant women gave birth there. Rain fell. Food ran out. And still, no solution came. Eventually, Ghana arranged transportation, but the scars had already been cut deep. In Accra, returning Ghanaians were greeted with shock and sadness. They brought tales of rejection, hardship, and humiliation. Once again, lives had been broken. The cycle of blame and expulsion had repeated. Ghana's newspapers now remembered 1969 with regret. The lesson was clear: treating others with dignity, even in crisis, is the true strength of a nation. The Ghana must go bag, once a symbol of survival, became a reminder of pain and endurance. In markets across West Africa, the name stuck. Few knew the story behind it. But to those who lived through 1969 or 1983, the bag spoke of loss, journey, and resilience. It carried more than belongings. It carried history. Years passed. Ghana and Nigeria mended ties. Joint projects were launched. Diplomats visited. Trade resumed. In music, Nollywood, and sports, both nations began to work hand in hand again. Youth on both sides saw themselves as brothers and sisters, not rivals. Yet the old story still whispered from the elders who remembered. Long ago, in the golden days of independence, Ghana and Nigeria worked together as proud nations, brothers of West Africa. But twice in history, they turned on each other. Ghana expelled over 1 million Nigerians in 1969. Nigeria returned the blow in 1983, sending home 2 million Ghanaians. That story gave birth to a bag called Ghana Must Go. Many believe those dark days were gone. But in 2025, old wounds began to open again. In Accra and other parts of Ghana, something began to stir. People gathered. Protest erupted. Angry voices echoed in the streets, Nigerians must leave. They held signs. They chanted. Videos filled social media, some real, others exaggerated. But one message was clear, tension was rising. The people of Ghana were once again calling for Nigerians to go. Among the crowd, some Ghanaians stood silent. They knew their neighbors, teachers, and workers were Nigerians. These were people they'd lived beside for years, trading, teaching, helping, laughing. But fear spreads quickly. And anger, once unleashed, doesn't always ask who is innocent. Nigerians in Ghana began to worry. Would history repeat itself? Back in Nigeria, officials watched closely. The Nigerian government appealed for calm. Let's not judge all Nigerians by the actions of a few, they said. The Nigerian High Commission in Accra began to gather reports. No confirmed attacks. No property destroyed, yet. But fear hung in the air like a dark cloud. The past was knocking again. In every crisis, there are two kinds of people, those who speak peace, and those who stir fire. Some protesters claimed Nigerians were bringing crime, fraud, and hardship. But others asked, what about the Nigerians teaching in our schools? Or the women selling in the markets? Or the doctors healing our sick? It was unfair. It was dangerous. To blame many for the sins of a few. Ghana is a proud country. A land of culture, strength, and unity. But now it faced a choice. Would it allow fear to divide brothers again? Would it answer today's frustrations with yesterday's mistakes? Or would it rise higher, choosing dialogue over division, truth over generalization, and unity over anger? And Nigeria. Her people remember 1969. They remember the pain of being thrown out. Now, they ask Ghana, don't do this again. Because behind every Nigerian living in Ghana is a story, a dream, a family. Most are not criminals. Most are builders, teachers, workers, and friends. Don't let hate win. To the youth of both nations, this is your story now. Do not inherit the bitterness of the past. You listen to the same music. Watch the same movies. Speak the same pidgin. Laugh at the same memes. You are one even when politics tries to separate you. Protect that unity. Hold on to peace. A bag once symbolized division, Ghana must go. But what if today, that same bag carried something new? Not pain, but promise. Not separation, but unity. Let today's protest be a turning point, not a breaking point. Let Ghana and Nigeria show Africa what true brotherhood means, even when it's hard. Not again. Not this time. If this story touched you, or taught you something new, don't forget to like the video, subscribe to the channel, and share it with someone who loves African history. More powerful stories from our past are coming, real, raw, and unforgettable. Thank you for watching.